Hello everyone, welcome to our lecture series on GIS in forestry. Today we are looking at surface interpolation in GIS. Interpolation predicts values for cells in a raster from a limited number of sample data points. What we are saying is that when you have some sample point from a field survey, you can take some sample from limited number of points and you can generalize it. You can predict the values of the other areas where you don't have the data. It can be used to predict unknown values for any geographic point data such as elevation, rainfall, chemical concentration, soil pH, percentage debris, air pollution, noise level. You can collect this point data and generalize it for the entire area. We have different methods of surface interpolation. For instance, we have inverse distance weighted techniques, which actually interpolate the surface using inverse distance weighting techniques of the limited number of values. You can use the limited number of values of point data you are collected, either of the acidic level, pH value of the soil, or percentage debris, or total organic content, or the percentage grain size, or the grain size, or different kind of a thing of the soil, the pathogen in the soil. I want to generalize, want to predict the values of the other areas. So one of the methods that is very popular is inverse distance weighting techniques. And also we have the other method which is also popular is kriging. Kriging interpolates surface from points using kriging technique. It's a processor intensive process, and the low values within the optional output variance of prediction raster indicate a high degree of confidence. Though kriging has been used widely in different prediction, it also has its own shortcomings because it assumes there's a structural component in the local trend, and that this structural component varies from one location to the other. Another popular technique is nearest neighbor techniques. Nearest neighbor techniques also is a raster form of interpolation that interpolate points from limited area to the general area of the surface. This method has been used widely, and we are going to look at two or three, these three in QGIS environment. So let's assume you have soil data on aquarium, and this soil data is has this. We have the soil pH, we have the total organic content, we have percentage debris, which are the data we have collected, and these are the values returned from our laboratory analysis. Now you can use this data to predict what's on the surface. Instead of them being standalone point data, you can actually make them to be surface data, to be a map. So what you do is that you go to raster in the QGIS, you go to raster on the menu bar, and then let's first use the grid inverse distance to power. So we leave this as the point layer that we are using to predict the other areas is accurate soil, and then weighted power, let's leave it as 2, and then we go to the z value. Z value is actually the value we want to use to generalize the value of the data we have collected on those points, and then want to use it to predict. So we are using the soil pH in this case, and then you run. When you run, you close it, and then you see that this is a new map of the area. You can actually change it from the gray by changing the symbology. Instead of black and white, you can actually have uh, pseudo color, and then you can apply this color. So we have the gray value. So this is a IDW approach. Then let's go again and do nearest neighbor, which is also another approach to do the analysis. So we do the nearest neighbor. So under this nearest neighbor, we leave everything the way it is. Then we just go to the Z value and then we use the soil pH and then we can run it. And then when we run it, it give us. Let's change the color again. Let's change the color symbol. You double click to change the color symbol. Instead of single band gray, you can now say we want pseudo color, and then we can use this and have it. So we can now see the difference between this approach, generalizing the point data we collected into different areas. See, this is smoother, this is smoother, but this is more accurate than the other, because here we are trying to predict from this point data we have, generalizing for the entire surface, assuming that the value you have here is the same along this line, and the value you have here is the same. So this is showing the different boundaries. Then compared to this one that you have irradiating from the bottom. That is the way you can do surface interpolation. You can use different type of data. Let's use soil. Let's use let's use another data to do the analysis. In this case now, our point data is still soil, but we are using a different column there for our Z value. Here our Z value is now total organic content. And then we can run it. And when you run it, you now have total organic content. This data about total organic content. Let me use a different simple band. I'm going to use green, different shade of green. Because you can see now that total organic content using IDW for the same data point. So that is and let's use for this case now also let's use nearest neighbor, or let's use nearest neighbor, or let's use analytical E shading. Let's use hill shade, and then we are using the um, interpolated nearest neighbor. So band and gray, we can shade it and make it more smoother, so that this one can be like a 3D elevation. You can see this one now is showing different degree. You can use this one to do the analytical shading for if it's elevation that this data is all about, you can use it to do the analytical shading. You can see that this one looks like a 3D. Imagine if you extrapolate or we exaggerate the value so that we can see the elevation differently in different perspective. So you can also have this. These are the different type of analysis you can do in the raster environment. And then this will help us to understand how we can generalize from point data to surface data. Thank you for listening.